Go ahead.
We're live.
It's Saturday night.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture.
With Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, welcome. Oh wow, I have echo in here, and I need to take that off. Welcome to the show. It's Kathy and Kenny, and we explain pop culture now that you can see us. Good Sunday evening to you as we have moved the show to Sunday evening, but all is good. So we can end the weekend hanging out with you, our pop culture kids. So welcome, welcome.
Lisa!
Happy Palm Sunday, the start of Holy Week. Good evening, Lisa. Uh, Greetings from our cousin and from all you guys who are watching and hanging out in the comments. We appreciate you definitely. What is what, my brother?
What is going on, my sister? How you doing? How you be? Everything's everything.
Everything is
Scooby Life, hey, how's it going, babe? All right. So,
oh Scooby Life in the house!
Scooby
Yay!
Life's in the house. Lisa's
You
in the
know what?
house.
I was so excited because my new job, which doesn't kick off till over Easter break, April 1st, and one of the things I get to do is travel for these different regional meetings. And there was a regional meeting in California, and it was Carson, California, which I have no idea where Carson is on the map. And I was uh, going to check with Scooby Life to see if that was nearby. But I have some friends who live like outside of LA. I'm not sure where they are. So they do a show called Boozing with Gays, which is
Mhm.
hysterical on Friday nights. If you can check it out on YouTube or Facebook. But anyway, so I sent the note to them. Hey, Hutch, Michael, am I going to be anywhere near you? Because I might be coming there April 16th. And they were like, it's, it's not really near. It's like 45 minutes away, but it's worth the travel to see Kathy Walker. And I was like all excited. And I
Oh
thought
wow, look at that.
I was going to get to see these guys who I haven't seen in probably 25 years. But unfortunately, uh, the turnaround time was too short. And even though I could sign up for the conference, what it is offering isn't going to be that relevant to my job. So I won't be going to California in April, but I may be coming there. And yes, I think it was the university or California used at Dominguez Hills, something like that, is where the actual event was going to take place. But I'm not coming to that. But in September, there is an event, and I think for another part of the grant that I work with, that is in California, and I think that's in Los Angeles. So
Mm.
I'm
Make
gonna
sure you
make
look at
my way
Kari.
out west this year.
Make,
That's gonna
make
be
sure you
on
look
my
at Kari.
hmm?
Make sure you look at your cousin Kari.
Okay.
And
Now
yeah,
he's
make sure you look
he's
at
where
Kari.
near Bakersfield.
Yeah, I think he might be near LA now, and
Oh, okay.
I think Dolores is near there too.
Well,
And
I'm gonna
and
have
my
a
buddy Sid is out there, and I can hook you up with my buddy Sid. He's in like the music business. You
oh,
like to hang out with him.
that'd be cool. But I think well, as I get closer, the one in September, that one I'm probably gonna have more lead time as far as going to that one, and I'll know where I'll be and where I'll be staying and that whole thing. I realize in California, I'm hoping I can just Uber anywhere I need to go because I really don't want to rent a car and do that driving
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
don't
I
want
know.
to live that kind of life. Uh, yes, definitely Scooby Life. I will keep you posted and uh, yeah, because I'd be excited because I have not been to California. I went to California for a summer and stayed outside of Whittier with my uncle Lathy, who has since passed. But when I first graduated from college, I went out there and spent the summer out in Whittier, California, which was
When I was
pretty
out there,
cool.
he lived in West Covina.
I'm sorry.
He lived in West Covina when I was out there, and
Okay.
Kari lived close to Compton. And I remember he was taking me to go see Kari, and I put on a it was either blue or red shirt, and I'm getting dressed, and I'm from the West East Coast. I don't know. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm getting dressed for Kari." He goes, "Not that you not. Don't wear nothing blue. Don't wear nothing red. Don't wear nothing this. Matter of fact, you got a white shirt in there. Wear a white shirt. You surrender. Wear a white shirt.
just just throw the white shirt. Don't even
Just want a
don't even
white shirt.
go there.
What? What? Like, oh my, I got stuff on. No, this is just So we went up there and we got the car and cars. Yeah, they'll shoot you.
Yeah, that would be cool. I have to check it out, and hopefully I can get to see Kari if I get to out to California. But it would be so cool if I could just catch up and see all of my West Coast peeps. So if I got to see Kari, if I got to see Hutch and Michael, if I got to see Scooby Life, it would be awesome. So I
Scooby
would check
Life
it
says that would have worked. So keep her posted.
out. Oh, yeah,
And
I probably was
I
close.
don't know because Kathy doesn't do good with dogs. Scooby Life, so she's not coming to your
I do
house.
I do okay with dogs. Okay. It's just
Okay.
like
I'm
the
better with
closest
dogs. Believe it or not, I used to be scared of. I'm better with dogs than she is.
yeah,
I
that's true.
animals
And
animals
part of
like
it
me.
part of it is my allergies too, because if they have long hair, then I'm gonna be sneezing and all congested and it's not gonna be pleasant. So who wants to be around there?
I love dogs. I wish I had the time and patience to have a dog myself. I love dogs.
Oh, oh yeah,
Um,
I certainly miss Uncle
yes,
Lake.
Uncle Lady did not play. No, he did not. So we're gonna go right on the pop culture news.
Pop culture news. Okay. What
Pop
you
culture
got for
news.
me?
You know what? We're gonna start from the bottom on this one. We're gonna start from the top of the bottom. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Oh, I you know what? I put them up in the order that you gave them to me, but if
Okay.
you start
Well,
wherever
let's
you want to
start off
start,
with a
just
quick
let me know and I'll
Roadhouse
put there.
intro.
because there was a
Let's start
lot of
with
pop culture news. So
yeah.
start from the
Why was my
bottom.
picture? Why am I not in there? That bottom. That bottom.
Oh,
It
you're not.
says King. I'm not.
We got rid of you altogether. You know what?
All
Because I
together.
changed the settings.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So let's talk a quick
Me and my
review. There's
Ecam.
a new there's a new movie on Prime called Roadhouse. It's a remake of the old Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
You
I
know,
watched this movie.
I watched it too. I watched it today, as a matter of fact, because I saw that you put it on Pop Culture News, and I have to tell you, one of the reasons why I watch it. I know, you're not a Howard Stern fan. I get it, but Jake Gyllenhaal was actually on Howard Stern last week and talking about this movie, and it was a remake of Roadhouse. And then I was trying to think, did I see the original Roadhouse? So I started watching that too because I couldn't remember because I was getting it confused with another movie he did with Helen Hunt,
You
and I
know how
couldn't think of
you would not have seen the original Roadhouse.
what.
Like if you hadn't seen the original Roadhouse before then I would have you turn in your pop culture card.
I saw it not
Everyone has
long
seen Roadhouse.
ago.
That's a movie that everyone's seen many times over. As many times it's on like TBS and all the other kind of stations. It plays like almost every week in Roadhouse is on TV.
Okay, but if you have your pop culture card and you're talking Patrick Swayze, basically all you need to have in your tool belt is The Outsiders, Ghosts, and Dirty Dancing, and you're done. That is the
No, you
key
have to
to
have
your
Road.
pop
If you're
culture
talking
card.
Patrick Swayze, if you're talking Patrick Swayze, you have to have Roadhouse in your repertoire. You
I,
cannot talk about Patrick Swayze without talking about Roadhouse. Period. End of story. So going on to this review, um, it was a good movie for the action and the fight scenes.
mm,
And I just read an article about it today. The one thing it was missing, even before I read this article, the one thing it was missing from me is heart. This movie had no heart. It
mm,
had no really. You didn't feel like in the first Roadhouse. You felt connected to Dalton. You felt connected to the community around them and how they all at the end they all got together and they came into the rifles and they all took one shot apiece and then they collected the rifles and then they just put them away and like when the cops came they're like yeah we ain't see nothing yeah we came in it was like this like you know it was that connectiveness. This movie the townspeople didn't have that connectiveness. The man comes in town. The first person he meets is Charlie and her dad. And you would think that Charlie and her dad would know. They knew about the Roadhouse.
mhm.
You would think there was a connection that they all knew each other, like the first one where everybody knew each other. But in this one, everybody didn't know each other.
Is
I had a
that
problem with that. I had a problem with the fact that
but
in
is
the
that
original Roadhouse, Sam Elliott played this Wade character, and this is one of the articles I read. They didn't have a character like that that came in from his past. It was an old friend who wound up dying and helping them fight and helping them fight. They didn't have that, and without that, you missed a lot of the heart. Now, the moral compass was the little girl Charlie, but
mhm.
still, Charlie couldn't be in none of the fights. Yeah, she carried around a bat and she wasn't scared of nobody, but she couldn't fight nobody. The other thing I had a problem with this was in the original Roadhouse there was a villain who there was a henchman villain who fought for him and did all this fighting. The guy who grabs Patrick Swayze at one point at the end of the fight and goes, "I used to earth guys like you in jail," and that's classic. And this guy, Conor McGregor, his acting was horrible. I thought he played this like he was Jim Carrey, and he overacted. And in a couple of scenes when he walked in, I thought I was watching a Popeye the Sailor Man movie. The way he was walking in, talking to himself and stuff like that. The way he was walking, like, where's everybody? Like I thought it was. I thought, but the fight scenes and the action scenes were great. It wasn't enough for me to carry the movie.
No.
And that was my watch Roadhouse. See what you think. Wasn't enough for me to carry the movie. And
And
next we're gonna talk
I
about. We're gonna
did
do.
I'm sorry.
Go
Am
ahead.
I allowed to talk? I did watch the movie and I do see what you are talking about the lack of heart. And I'm just wondering if it's not so much a commentary on the movie, but maybe on where we are. like as a society that people aren't making those connections. Like during the pandemic, I think a lot of people did kind of go in and into themselves. So are we connecting? So that could
Yeah.
be saying
Well,
something more about us or who we are and where we are. I,
it was a double standard in the movie because you know when Dalton came, excuse me, he spent the night in this thing. He woke up and he's walking around town. And everybody's like, "Hey, Dalton! Hey, Dalton!" Everybody, he's like, "Hey, how does everybody know me?" And she goes, "Word travels fast. Everybody knows who you are."
mm-hmm,
So, because word is a small town. By the same token, they burned down Charlie and her dad's shop, and nobody else said anything. Like nobody else knew about it. He didn't find out about it till later. Whereas in the original, they burnt down the doctor's uncle's shop, and everybody was there watching it. So it was one of the things when he put the truck through. In the original, when he put the truck through the guy's car lot and destroyed the guy's car lot, everybody was there watching him, like wow, and the group of the town was so close that Dalton fell in love with the town and the people, not just the doctor, but you know, and it, and I didn't feel the connection between the love interest and Dalton either in this movie, like I did the first one.
okay. So
There was
it
just
has flaws.
there was no like slow old song playing for them to make love to. It was just eh, eh. Can I move on to X-Men
Go ahead.
'97 review?
All right. X-Men
X-Men
97.
'97 talked about this last week. They are doing an X-Men '97 show. It's kind of like a year after the old X-Men cartoon let off in the '90s, and this, excuse my language, this show is badass. And one of the things you notice about this right off the bat, they make Cyclops, who seems like Cyclops is always a character, even in the live action movie. Cyclops is always that character that you're like, yeah, he's boring. But they made Cyclops interesting and badass in this movie. It was so off the wall and out of pocket. It was great. So, old things, you can't always bring them back. This you can bring back, and it was great. Now, I hear, and I didn't write this in the note, I hear that they are trying to bring back an animated version of Good Times
An animated version of Good Times?
on Netflix. An animated version of Good Time. I don't think we need it. It's not. I
An
hope,
animated
I hope,
version of Good Times.
I hope this is a lie. There's also supposed to be an animated version of Married with Children. I don't. I don't want either of those. Leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Do we really need that? Would Good
We,
Times play? Um, would Good Times play like nowadays? I don't know. It seems like Lisa says I'm scared of Cyclops.
Cyclops in this, he's bad.
I don't know if
He's fighting and he's using his blazers while he's like hand to hand combat and using his blazer at the same using his eye things at the same time, and it's great. It's great. If you're a superhero nerd and you like superheroes,
well, no,
this
get
is
get back to this. I'm still kind of tripping about having an animated version of Good Times.
I yeah,
Like,
I'm
I mean,
hoping
I'm all for it for the scene for the theme song, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm with Lisa. She says, "Yeah, I heard about that. You need to leave Good Times alone. It was a
yes,
classic. It lived there by itself,
yes.
with
Just like
JJ,
just like I
Thelma,
heard there was
the militant midget. Leave it alone. Don't be going
yeah,
back
just
to
like
something."
there's a thing about Married with Children being the animated show. Leave that alone too. It had its place. Leave it alone.
Make it a part of history. Well, and again, with this next bit of pop culture news, we have to talk about this because I watched this and it.
Let's unpack. Let's unpack Quiet on the Set, the dark side of kids TV. This documentary.
Unpack it.
If you ever watched '90s Nickelodeon and 2000s Nickelodeon, and you watched this stuff and you loved it, and you watched it I watched a lot of this with my kids, and a lot of the scenes they showed that were kind of sexually explicit. I didn't get to. I saw them like, wow, that is kind of
It
sexually.
and again in the documentary they kind of focused on it or pulled those clips, and it's like, why are they doing all this stuff with feet, and why are they squirting stuff on girls' faces? It was very
Yes,
suggestive, and having this one character with this big nose and stuff squirting out of the nose, and
yeah,
the phallicness of it.
and
But
it,
it was
and it
very
lands right
disturbing.
on the woman's face.
Yeah, and it was very, very disturbing. And again, you can always pull out clips or things from anything to make a narrative, but in addition to that, this other stuff was going on where you had all these sexual predators, and I'm sorry, I'm going to soapbox on this big time. I think I soapboxed all over your comment on Facebook too,
Yes,
because
she did. But go ahead, so
because
box again.
because this disturbed me. Like I had restless sleep because I think it was on at like 9 o'clock at night. So it was like one of the last things I watched before I went to bed, and it really, really disturbed my sleep and bothered me. And then I was at a school, and there was a young man at that school that also it disturbed me because some of his behaviors made me think that he wasn't being taken care of, a kid who was very, had some bad behaviors, and and was just so hungry that we kept feeding him all this food, like almost like he's being starved. But that's a whole nother thing. But in any case, um, but and maybe that was weighing on my head as well as this. And I think the thing that really bothered me is that I think adults, whether they chose to ignore it or look the other way, knew that some of these things were happening and weren't right. And maybe it was even some of the parents, because again, we're being blinded by money or the love of money, and
Yes,
wanting it so much, and wanting this success and fame and all that kind of stuff, that you know children were being abused, and not just the sexual abuse that was happening, but just the
the mental.
physical abuse and mental wear and tear on these kids, to perform, because some of the things that they were saying, it just wasn't right. And I guess what is more disturbing too is that one of the people at the head of it, uh, Dan Schneider, was himself a bit of a child star, because at 19 he had appeared in the TV show Head of the Class,
Yeah,
along with, I think his name is Brian Robbins, because he's gone on to direct and produce, and was also, I think, an executive producer on some of these Nickelodeon shows as well. And that evidently this one person had created this culture within Nickelodeon that to me was just horrible and abusive for these young stars. And it was
but
revealed that what's his name? Drake
Drake Bell.
Bell. Yeah, Drake Bell was literally assaulted, sodomized. Like they were
Yes,
showing parts
and
of his.
here's the thing. After this man only got 16 months in jail for sodomizing this kid, for molesting this kid. And then basically, as you hear the story, he set Drake Bell up and groomed him to be able
Mm,
to do that. He groomed him
oh
to
yeah,
be able to, like, this is what we're going to do. And when it happened, it's like, don't tell anybody, yada yada yada. And Drake Bell was like, he's not like he's going to list, like, it's my career. I'm supposed to be starting this new show, Drake and Josh, which is a good show actually. My kids should watch it. But this guy got the minimum. He got probation.
yeah.
He got 16 months in jail,
Because a
and he
lot
had to
of
register as a sex
celebrities
offender.
wrote letters for him.
Yeah, but here's the thing: this guy, when he got out of jail, ended up working for Disney on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. How does that happen?
Exactly.
How does that
He
happen?
probably should be
Yes,
nowhere near kids, let
yes.
alone a TV. Anyway,
So also too, the celebrities. Now it was one celebrity. I forget her name. I'm sorry I didn't write it down, but she apologized for writing that letter because she said she was misinformed about what was going on.
I know the celebrity you're talking about. She was from the TV show Growing Pains. She played the mother, Joanna
Yes,
Kearns.
Yeah, Joanna
Because
Kerns.
like I
Yes.
said, I
She said,
I watched one episode of that show, and it disturbed my sleep so much I didn't watch any of the other episodes. But when I saw your notes on Pop Culture News, I went back this weekend and watched it on Paramount Plus or whatever.
I watched
One of
all
the
four yesterday.
yeah, one of the streaming services. So I watched all four, and also I saw on, I don't know whether it's TikTok or YouTube, like it might have been on Twitter. Somebody posted a picture of Amanda Bynes, and it was just so disturbing. She looks so, again, whether it's the drugs or whatever, or just physically from tattooing her face, not, like she just has a heart tattooed on her face, but she has these
I mean,
like
Amanda Bynes.
massive
Back in the
eyebrows.
movies I saw her in, she was like when she was in Big Fat Liar.
Hmm.
Amanda Bynes could have been now a good comedic actress.
Oh
She
yeah,
had the
she
talent.
definitely
She had
had
the.
talent. Definitely
She
had a talent.
definitely had talent. But something, But you notice that not every child star falls prey to the bad things that happen to child stars. You have, and I was talking to our mother about this earlier. You have actresses like Zendaya, who was child stars. But if you notice, Zendaya is always talking about her parents, and she's always with her brother, her cousins. She has strong family behind her. And when the young child stars have strong family behind them, they don't end up like a Dana Plato's, like the Todd Bridges, like they don't end up like the Amanda Bynes. They don't end up like that when they have the strong family ties behind them.
Hmm.
This Quiet on the Set was not as fun to watch as I thought it was going to be.
Oh no,
It was very
it was
educational,
disturbing.
and I liked the part. Not like the part, but I felt the part as a father myself when uh, Drake Bell's father was talking about how he had suspicions about this guy's intentions. And when he
Hmm.
handed over the rights, he told the mother that he was divorced from, whatever you do not let Drake alone with this man.
But
And
they did.
yeah, she did because he manipulated her into doing that. And next thing you know, he's sleeping on the couch, he's waking up with something up his butt. So
Yeah,
it's not
yeah. That
all that
that thing
glitters ain't
made me
gold.
so mad,
All
so
that glitters
mad.
ain't gold. And it was, and I noticed something too about Dan Snyder, and I'm gonna put this out there. I noticed something that I noticed something about the people talking, and Dan Snyder doted on the
Amanda.
white girls, not the black girls.
Hmm.
He let the young white boys alone, and he put the black boys in situations that were very degrading.
Hmm.
I'm not saying Dan Snyder's a racist. I'm just saying he's sus.
he he's sus. Well, and
He's
again,
sus.
they didn't really delve into it, but how do we know? I don't know. And I felt like too, like at one point in the documentary, um, I think the teen star with Drake Bell said that, that Snyder actually came to him and asked him
Yes,
when the guy got arrested if it was him, and he said it was. So you would think after that point that maybe he would change the tone and the demeanor on set, but it looks like he
he did.
didn't.
It kind of got
and
worse.
and a lot
As
of
I
stuff
think,
didn't come to light until like the Me Too movement, when people actually spoke up. So even for
I,
some of those writers and even some of the women who were there giving him massages and all this other kind of
yeah,
stuff, who
the
didn't
massage
feel
was totally
empowered to
out of pocket.
pick up, to
Totally
speak
out.
up, they finally did speak up. But to me, it's like if you got kids that are in jeopardy and you don't speak up, again, there is a special
Well,
heated hot section of hell for you, and uh,
yeah.
it
Well,
just
here's the thing.
bothered me.
Also, here's the thing. Also, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna leave with this. Here's the thing. Also, you know, his massages were inappropriate. The To me, the relationship he had with Amanda Bynes is very sus.
Mm-hmm. And there was notes and things on Twitter saying, well, that's probably why she's, you know, made
That
herself
might be why
look
I'm
so
messed up now.
unattractive now, is, probably because she did face some kind of, again,
Yes,
sexual mistreatment. But again, allegedly, I don't know. But it's
allegedly.
just sad
You
that
can't really say
when
for sure.
people come in and they put a wedge between, these young stars and their families too, so that they
Yes.
lose that support. Because, like you said, there are people who make that transition and make it successfully. Regina
It's
King. Regina King was a child star and a successful actress. And then there are people who transition and don't go. I think I can't remember that child's name. Mara Wilson, I think it was a child star, but then she decided to take her life out of. She was in like Mrs. Doubtfire and Matilda or whatever, but she took herself out
yes.
entertainment,
She
but
became an
still
author.
was
She
able
became an accomplished author. Yes.
was able to live in an adjusted life. But so it can be done, and like you
Yeah.
said, having that family support. But
Having that
then
family support makes
there
a
was one
difference.
guy, one of the young African American actors, was saying that one of the reasons he didn't say anything, he didn't speak up, is because again he was the cash earner for his family, and he thought being
Yeah.
on the show was going to get them out of the hood, and
And the young
and
lady
that's
that
a
was
lot
on
to
there,
put
like,
on a teenager,
yeah. And the young lady that was on there, I forget her name, but she was black. She goes, "Look, I knew I was a token,
Hmm.
but once again, I had to make the money for my family." And she went on to do other things because she did the Bring It On movies and
Hmm.
things like that. So she went on to do other things. But I mean, I was surprised that they didn't interview Keenan Thompson. I was
Yeah,
surprised they didn't interview. They didn't get
Kel Mitchell.
Kel Mitchell.
Although,
Interviewed.
but what was
There
was
weren't a lot of shots.
hmm
But and the reason I was interested in that because Keenan Thompson made some comments about when he did the movie Fat Albert, and he
hmm
did make some comments Bill Cosby,
ah
about Bill Cosby being a little strange, and I was surprised that they didn't ask him to do this to make other comments like
although
Keenan.
again, and he's one that made that transition because again, he's
Yeah,
been on. I think he's one of the longest cast members of Saturday Night Live. Um, and
have you ever watched Keenan Thompson's show? They canceled it,
no.
but it was pretty funny.
Okay, I didn't watch it.
Keenan, the
We're
Keenan
halfway.
show
We're a half hour in, so let's get to the
really,
rest of
really,
the
we
news
haven't
before
got
we
to.
move on.
All right, let's get moving on to the next thing.
Okay.
Cameron Diaz and her husband Benji Madden from the group Good Charlotte uh, announced their baby boy Cardinal being born,
Okay.
and they named him Cardinal. I don't
Oh,
know.
and you know what? You didn't have this on the news, but we finally got like video evidence, proof of life for Kate Middleton.
Yes,
She's been
Kate
MIA.
Middleton is going through a cancer uh, thing, and I'm not big. Well, I didn't put this on this. I'll be honest with you. I'm not big on royal family stuff, and that's
Me
my fault.
either, but I did get caught up in all the like rumor mill or something. Somebody posted something on Facebook saying that they were in this rabbit hole about where was Kate. So once they posted that, and I started reading the comments, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And
I
then
am
I saw
totally,
a whole thread on Twitter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people have nothing better to do with their lives.
I
And
am totally for. I know she's a celebrity. I know she's a royal.
mm,
I am totally for respecting her privacy as
oh,
she goes
totally,
through cancer diagnosis, and I wish more people were like that. When people go through these things are not easy. And the last thing you need is the world looking at every step. This
and
woman does
making
not.
judgments.
She has to go through. She has to go through chemo and everything else. She starts to lose her hair. She doesn't want pictures. She doesn't want you looking at her. I've had. I personally sat through a girlfriend who had breast cancer. I've had one of my closest friends, and I watched her go through breast cancer. It's not something that a woman wants you, even a man wants you to go through with them.
Mm-hmm.
My friend I was staying with at a time, and I was between places, and I was staying with her. She was going through breast cancer. She had to have a double mastectomy, and it, I would check on her every day. Me checking on her every day was walking up to her room and going, "Hey, do you need anything? Are you okay?" And later on, she came back to me and said, "I really appreciate what you did because every day you checked on me." And when I said I needed nothing or something at all or whatever, you said, "Well, look, I work because I work from home. It's pandemic. I'm downstairs. If you need anything, text me, call me. You don't have to move as long as I'm here." You know what I'm saying? So, and that meant something, even though she didn't call me a lot. That meant something. So I'm all for it. I know she's a celebrity. Kate Middleton is a celebrity. She's a beautiful woman, and everybody wants to be a part of that. They want to get every shot of that. Let her go through this in peace. Lord have mercy.
Yeah. All right. And finally, in pop culture news, Blanket.
Now,
Blanket
okay,
say, "Get your hands off my money, my
yeah.
daddy's
Well,
money.
here's the
It's my
thing.
money. I
This
don't
is
care if you're
this
my
is set.
grandma."
This is set. What I'm going to say, and I have a lot of conversations with my friends about this. Uh, the kids today are different than the way me and you grew up.
Mm, okay.
Very different. Very selfish. Very self-absorbed. I was talking to my friend yesterday. I'm 57 years old. Whenever my parents called me, even when I didn't live with them, whenever my parents called me, I dropped everything and I'm on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I had a girlfriend who would look at me and goes, "Man, your parents was always like joking on you and cracking on you, but whenever they called Diane, whenever they called you to do something, because I lived the next town over, they need something cut, they need the grass cut, they need some trash taken out, they call you, you're over there in a minute." I said, "Yeah, that's my parents. Like, I have to do it." F these kids is what I'm saying. These kids today, F these kids. Just like in the movie, in the series, the Best Man series that they had. F these kids. These kids have no respect. Blanket Jackson says that the grandmother, Katherine Jackson, should not be able to use estate money to pay the legal fees. Here's my problem. When Michael died, who took care of them kids?
The grandmother,
Katherine Jackson.
Catherine Jackson. Hmm.
Katherine Jackson.
Oh no, Blanket is boss now. That's why I put Blanket as boss. He's saying she can't have the money, and I'm like,
All
really?
right.
For your grandmother?
Blanket Blanket needs his ass kicked. Here's what I do with Blanket.
Blanket.
I would like to beat his ass and give him $20 and drop him off in the middle of North Philly. That's what I want to do. And you see if you can make it out of that. You
Make
so
it
tough,
out of it. Good
get
luck,
some money.
Blanket.
$20.
I ain't
I'm
right.
gonna drop you in the middle of North. I'm gonna drop your wife behind in the
You
middle of
know
North
what?
Philly and see how you like
And
it.
I mean, I'm not too worried about Catherine Jackson because I know, between the other kids, I mean, Janet, they'll take care of
Yeah,
it. But still, it's like,
come on,
really,
man.
really, Blanket.
This woman took care of you.
Mm-hmm.
This woman took care of you when your father died trying to get some sleep.
Oh,
And this is how you act.
all right.
You
And
got more money than anybody, and this is how you act.
and this and
Go
this
on with this.
and this is and
Go
this
on
is
with this.
this is who you
Take
are.
several seats.
Tonight we
Take
wanted to
several
talk
seats.
about, and we're gonna have to go through it quick, Kenny, because we have less than 20 minutes. Funny women is our topic for tonight, and we wanted to take you into the world of funny women.
Yes.
And um,
But
so let's
before we
let's
do
hit the
that,
list because
yeah, before we do that, real quick, take 1 minute. Before
okay,
we do that, I want you to please, if you're on our page, the first time on our page, you see this in the replay, please subscribe to our channel, like us, hit the like button, tell your friends, let us know. We're Captain Kennedy Explain Pop Culture on YouTube, on Facebook. We have a website. Please visit us, support us, help us on our journey. This is a very good platform that we try to do. Kathy and I, we work hard at it. She does the graphics, I make the list. It's a team effort. My sister and I, and my sister and I are pretty close. to be we're 2 years apart, and we've always been like this. When we were kids, we used to leave messages on our phones when she lived in New York and I lived in Jersey, and you wouldn't be able to call back unless you were able to quote a movie, and that's the way we've always been. Now we're, now we're like close to our 60s and we're still doing it. It's something to be committed about. I love my sister. It's something to be committed about. And, especially with the state of families today, where people just fall apart and get mad at each other and they just don't talk anymore at all. So, Kathy Can Explain Pop Culture is a family show, and we would love your support. So please embrace us into your home. Tell your friends about us, like us, subscribe to our channel. So we're going to go on to our list of funny women.
Funny women.
Now, before we go to our first funny woman, real quick, I want to add to this list, and she didn't know I was going to do this. I want to add my sister Kathy Walker to this list. Kathy's the
Lord.
stand-up comedy. Kathy was very funny. Kathy was very funny. She was on point. I should be getting royalties because half her act was making fun of me.
Kathy burned out. Kathy
Yeah,
burned.
well,
burned.
and I remember distinctly because I tell the story all the time.
Mhm.
One of her jokes was, we were at my parents worked for the government, and we had a function for blacks in government, and I was in my best suit. I was fly. I was younger. I was thinner. I was trying to, like, my dad was well known, so I was my dad's son. I was trying to get every woman in the room to notice me, and you're in a room full of black women. And at the time, I had a son with a white woman, and my sister gets up, and her first joke was, I bought my brother the perfect gift for Christmas, white sneakers to go to his white girlfriend.
That was not my joke.
Yep, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Because me and Junior were both like two young black women. We were checking the room out. We were like, yeah, we're going to kick game tonight. And you told that joke, and in a room full of
What the
black
heck
women,
are you
my
doing at a
game was
blacks in government function anyway?
yeah, my game was shot in a room full of black women. And I'm sitting there like, no, she didn't. And Junior's looking at me like, Junior's like, take it. You got to eat it. You got to eat it. Because at this point, Junior's like, I'm the most eligible bachelor in this room right now because she just blew it for you. Kathy
Oh,
was extremely funny. So, going on to our first person on this, Gilda Radner
good.
from Saturday Night Live fame. Everybody knows her from Saturday Night Live fame. And this
Rosanna Dana.
was yeah. And this woman was hilarious. Of course, her husband at the time was Gene Wilder, who was another funny man also. And I could imagine being at a party if I was an adult back in those days in the 70s, being at a party with Gilda Radner and Gene Wilder. I must have been the greatest thing that had the two of them together,
And
and talk to both of them. I would, if I could go back in time, I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
Gilda Radner had a special that, again, in the early days of HBO, before they, like right now, we have so many streaming platforms, but if you think about it, in the early days of cable, you had like maybe three channels: Cinemax, HBO, Showtime. But even before Showtime, I think it was just HBO. And the specials and different things that they had, they would show over and over and over again. So you saw, I don't know how many times I saw the movie Car Hops, but anyway, it's a bad B movie. But
That's right.
in
Yes, a bad.
in any case, there was a Gilda Radner special from her show on Broadway
Yes, I remember that.
that was amazing, where she revived a lot of the characters from Saturday Night Live. But very funny lady, Gilda Radner.
I still use the quote from people to other people. I say it, and they look at me like I'm strange because I have a thing about women. Like if I say to you, cheeseburger, Coke, no Coke, Pepsi, and you don't know what I'm talking about, we really can't date.
That
So
These are probably too young
yeah,
for you.
I know. You're too young for me if you don't know what that means. But I still say to people, could it be rain, could it be snow, all depending on the weather.
All right. Well, let's move on because we got a lot on this.
Michelle
I don't know a
Buteau.
lot of these people, so you got to
Yeah,
educate
I've
me.
seen some of these people in different things, and I've watched some things. Michelle Buteau.
Hmm.
A very funny lady. Very funny lady. I've seen her. She's had a special on HBO, and I meant to write it down. She's got a special on HBO, and she is in a show, I believe, on HBO. But she is a woman who doesn't hide her size,
Hmm.
and I like that about her comedy.
Uh,
Next, we're going to Amber Ruffin.
Amber Ruffin.
Amber Ruffin.
And
Now, you
again,
might
some of
know
these
from the
people
Amber
I had
Ruffin
never
show.
heard
She's
of
on Peacock.
before.
Yeah, she's on Peacock, and she is. If you've seen the sketches of her, she's very funny. She has a very um, I would say if I compared it to a man, I'll compare her to David Letterman. We
Hmm.
have the straight face and you're saying something and it's kind of funny, but she's got that smirk, like that tongue-in-cheek smirk to her.
Hmm.
Miss Pat has a
It, it's
television show.
it's almost like she does a and again I've never seen it, but it looks more like a talk show, kind of like a late night show.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, Miss Pat,
Miss
I've
Pat.
not seen, and that's what I thought was interesting about your list, Kenny. I was looking at your list, and I saw a lot of I saw some, true and standby ones that I love, and but then I saw a lot of new names, and I was kind of excited about that because I'm so far removed from the comedy world. Like I didn't know half of these people, so it was kind of
And there's some
interesting.
people I wanted to put on the list that I didn't,
Hmm.
but Miss Pat has her own TV show on BET.
Okay.
She has a show on Netflix. She has a special on Netflix. A BET show. I've seen a couple of scenes from it. It is very funny.
Okay.
Um, it's a real show. Let me
Hmm.
say that. I've seen some clips. It's real, and how the reaction of a black woman would be on some issues.
I think I've seen.
Joe Rivers.
Oh. Joan Rivers. When they
Here's what I
spilled
like about Joan
cheese.
Rivers. Joan Rivers was no nonsense, and she told it like it is, and she was funny. And the funny part about her is the one thing about a lot of comics that is funny is she's going to point out. She pointed out her flaws.
Hmm.
She pointed out what was wrong with her. She knew she wasn't the most attractive woman in the world. She pointed that out. You know, she knew
I
she wasn't very sexy. She pointed that out. The one thing I saw was her talking to Wendy Williams, and it was just hilarious. She did some stints on the Tonight Show where she hosted. She had her own show where she hosted, and the different conversations she had with people. She was a true entertainer.
and one of the reasons I pulled the one of the old pictures of her because or not old pictures but going back because a lot of people remembered her like right before she died in the red carpet and stuff that she would always do, but she had been in the comedy game for a long time in what was a predominantly male field and
Yeah,
male role, and she's one of the comedians. I think I read her autobiography because at one point I was in this autobiography phase and especially fascinated with comics and how they thought and how they came about. But I really like Joan uh, Rivers because the whole thing to me that made comedy is taking that truth and giving it the twist. And she did that. Like you said, she was self-deprecating, so she did make fun of herself.
I
But the
believe the
the one
day
thing I worry about in today's comedy environment is this cancel culture that we have, and that I'm sure that if she were still alive today, speaking as
she
candid
would
and
have been,
frankly as she always
she would
has,
have
that yeah, they probably want to cancel her for some reason.
been. Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi
My one
Goldberg.
of my Hollywood crushes, Whoopi Goldberg. And the reason she's one of my Hollywood crushes is because she's a funny woman. She's an intelligent woman. And I am a person who deals off her personality alone. And that is now here's the thing about Whoopi Goldberg.
What's the thing?
Early in HBO history, Whoopi Goldberg did a special. And I still use one of the lines from her special too. You know, PG like Mary was with Jesus, except for she knows who the Father is, which is the funniest line if you really think about it. You know, I'm PG like Mary was with Jesus, except for I know who the Father is. So it's just so and in that special, she did a Broadway special where she did a one woman show where she played all these different characters. And her comedy, you can see it in her acting and the way she does things, she switches things up. You can see her in a serious movie like uh when she did the Emmett Till movie. Or you can see her in the funny movie, like when she does the funny movies that she does. You know, what's the one where she was a nun? But
Um,
anyway, you
Sister
know,
Act.
and she in Sister Act, and then you see her movies like Ghost, where she's playing a funny role, but it's a serious type movie,
Mhm.
and and you see in
So she
things like
has
the
range, is what you're saying, because
yes, she
she
has
has that range. Because I was
extreme
watching
range,
her in
and
Karina
she's so funny.
Karina,
Yeah, Karina is one of my favorites.
and but again, and Whoopi Goldberg, I believe she's GOAT because she's got a Grammy, an
Yes,
Oscar,
she
a
she's
Tony
good.
for that one woman show, and
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, she's GOAT.
Next we have Ellen DeGeneres,
Ellen
who
DeGeneres.
we know from our show has come under a lot of scrutiny. But when Ellen DeGeneres first came out, she was extremely funny. I remember
And
her first TV show, her sitcom, which was extremely great. And in that show, that's when she came out as being,
well,
gay,
okay,
and it was great.
okay. Now again, and here's the thing, and again, maybe I'm nitpicking, but and I remember meeting Ellen DeGeneres at Caroline's actually in New York City, and that was before the sitcom when she came up. But she was one of those comedians when, like you said, HBO used to show those comedian specials, and I remember her being on those special on one of those specials. And the thing about her comedy is, it to me it was very intelligent, very storytelling, like her conversation with God and different things that she would do was really in the language, I thought, very much so. But when she got the sitcom, they decided to make her like, the next Lucille Ball, and it was all about this physical comedy, which I thought was not being true to her and her comedy and her comic sensibilities, which, and I guess it did kind of show because eventually she did wind up coming out on the show, and I think once she came out she was more relaxed. But I just remember this sitcom as not really being genuine because it was full of all this physical comedy, and she wasn't
Yeah,
really known as a physical comedian, which I
I
thought
think that
was
helps
doing
because
her
she
a
met the real
disservice
person.
because they had folks like Seinfeld and other comedians who were very much in the words. They built shows around them based on their comedy, and they weren't giving her the same grace because, again, as a woman, she had to rise to this different standard. But
Yeah,
off
and
the
I think
soapbox.
because you met her personally, I think it had an impact,
Mm,
on what you saw. The next we have is Margaret Cho, who when she first came out, I used to love Margaret Cho. I haven't seen her in a lot of things recently. I think she's one of the first Asian female comics from back in the day that I remember coming out, and she was very funny then.
mm.
Um, yes, so we have Margaret Cho. Next, we have Leslie Jones,
Leslie
who
Jones
is hilarious in herself.
is so funny.
Leslie Jones can make anything work.
She can
I
make.
loved her in Ghostbusters. I loved her in Coming to America too. I loved her on Saturday Night Live. Leslie Jones is that person. She's one of those people that I wouldn't mind. Not that I have a thing for. I wouldn't mind meeting Leslie Jones, just having a conversation about the entertainment business, because she seems like the kind of person who, if you sat and talked to her, she would be very real with you.
Hmm.
Next, we have Fortune Femister.
Feemster.
I've seen this first. Well, the first
Fortune.
time I seen
Fortune Feemster.
Feemster, the first time I saw her, I believe it was probably late to the party. The first time I saw her was on Kenan Thompson's TV show,
Oh, okay.
and the way she played a character, she is. I put her on this list because I think she is hilarious. and
Okay.
she kind of puts it out there on who
And
she is and what she is, and
and I
boom, there
guess
it is.
I don't, and that's why I was kind of excited about this list tonight because I'm looking at the list and I'm like, oh wow, I don't know half these people, and then a couple I actually do know and actually perform with. So and we'll get to a couple of those, but I was kind of excited because I figure, oh, Kenny's gonna up my female comedy game because I'm kind of out of the loop, and I do know Fortune Feimster and I've heard her, but that's only because she sometimes appears with Rasan and Gary Delabate on the wrap up show, and I listen to it. So that's how I actually do know her. All right, who's next on
Next,
your list? And I know this
Silver
person
Silverman.
because I
Sarah
actually
Silverman.
did work with
You did.
Sarah
What was your?
Silverman.
Tell me about Sarah Silverman.
I'm sorry.
Tell me about Sarah Silverman.
Sarah Silverman. Again, when I was in New York doing comedy, and at point I had passed at the comic strip, and that was one of the places where she performed. And yeah, and then we'd always do, you know, when you're doing comedy, and at that time in the '90s, there were a bunch of open mics, and there was one open mic that was all women all the time. So you're always bound to run into people, and she definitely was one of the people that I ran into.
Okay, and next we have Ali Wong.
And I've heard of her, and I don't know whether I've seen her stand up ever.
I now she was on a TV show. She was in a couple of movies that I liked.
Hmm.
She was in Paper Girls. She was in
So,
a Netflix movie about this woman who became famous and everything. But she is still a comedian. She has a special on Netflix, I believe. And she's just an up and coming artist
so if not
who
anything, we've given you some new names to kind of go through your streaming services and check out because I think half of these folks do have specials on Netflix, so you can go
yeah.
check them out. Ali Wong is one of them. The next artist, I think she kind of had like last year. She had a moment, didn't she?
Yeah,
Michelle Wolf,
Michelle Wolf,
because
who
didn't she? Mhm.
I think Michelle Wolf is probably the sexiest comic on this list.
Okay.
I have a small crush on Michelle Wolf because I think she is
So that's
funny.
why she's so high up on the list.
That's why she's so high up on it.
You
Yes,
say that like she's watching.
yeah. Yeah, I like she's Michelle. If you're watching, Kenny Walker, let's talk. I mean, I'm just saying. But
Okay.
in any event, Michelle Wolf is very funny. She did have it, and she did have an incident where she was the commentator on the award, the banquet that the correspondence banquet that they have with the president.
Okay. The foreign press
Yeah,
correspondence.
yes,
That's what it was.
and I think they didn't like what she did with that.
Hmm.
Um, I've heard some of her comedy. I've seen some of her comedy. I think she's funny.
All right. Then she's on the
I
list.
think she's funny.
All right.
I think the
Moving
way
on.
she says things and the way she tells a story is very great. Next, we have Wanda Sykes.
Wanda Sykes, who
And
used to
if you
be
don't
Wanda
know who
Sykes
Wanda
Hall,
Sykes is,
but
you've been living under a rock for too long. Wanda Sykes stand up is funny. Wanda Sykes, when she shows up in a movie or television show, is hilarious. Wanda Sykes is that aunt that says what you're thinking and what every aunt that you know would say. Wanda Sykes.
so now
You know,
it's like the
you tell
family
me what you
wrap
know
up
about Wanda
because
Sykes.
we're going to go from the aunt that's going to tell you everything
Well, you tell me what you
that
know
you're
about Wanda
afraid
Sykes.
to say out loud. Well, no, and again, Wanda Sykes was another one of those comics that I knew. In fact, when I was doing comedy in the mid '90s, you wanted to be up there with Wanda Sykes because that's when things were really, I think, mid '90s were really kind of clicking for her, and that she was getting all those opportunities. But just very funny. I don't think I ever worked with her. Maybe in some of the same clubs because she was one of the few black women who got regular spots and could go in whenever she wanted to at the comic strip at the time when I
I
was
liked
there. So,
her in I liked her in Monster in Law.
oh, oh, that's right. She was in Monster in Law.
I
She
liked
was
her in
watching
Monster in Law.
some
I really did.
other
Last but
gentleman.
not least,
You know what? I was watching another Jennifer Lopez movie this weekend, The Backup Plan, and
Uh,
actually, Jennifer Lopez is not that bad an actress. She's actually pretty
no,
good.
she's not. She's really
And
not.
I love Made in Manhattan. I don't know why. I
She's
just
not.
love
She's
that
not a
movie.
bad actress.
I know
She's
there's
really
a
not a
kid
bad
in it too,
performer.
but
She's really not a bad performer either. She's
no.
not a bad actress. She's not a bad
Although
performer.
I think they showed a repeat of her performance on um uh, Lisa is right about this. She said, "Love Wanda Sykes. Her facial expressions get me, and that's
Was
it
that
too. Because when she's in the movie, yeah, you could just read it all
was
over
that
her
was
face."
that the movie? Was that Bad Moms or whatever movie it was? Where the woman came in and and she was a therapist. And she goes, "You know what's wrong with your mother? Let me tell you what's wrong with your mother." Ever seen that clip? And that is so
That
hilarious.
I think that's Bad Mom's Christmas. She was in Bad Mom's
Okay, yeah,
Christmas. That was funny.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
last but not least on this list, I could not do a female comedy list without putting this woman in the list of female comics, Moms Mabley.
from your aunt to your
When I was a kid,
mom.
my parents had a Moms Mabley album that would scare me because only there was Mom Mabley, and I was a kid. She was looking at me, and when I made this list, I ended up going down a rabbit hole of watching old Moms Mabley clips, and some of this was clips of her doing interviews and people talking to her. Some
Mhm,
of it was clips of her doing stand up. This is a woman who she's passed away. She was in vaudeville, and she came up in the 40s and 50s and everything else, and she put on this persona. She was actually a woman who was playing Miles Mabley role,
mhm,
but when she wasn't in that role, she would dress as like normal wear. Was her dressing as a man? She was a lesbian. It's a known fact, and she would wear like men's clothes and whatnot and walk around, but she would change into this persona and be Moms Mabley.
mhm.
And it's kind of like what Pee Wee Herman, what Paul Rubens did with Pee Wee Herman.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, you change into a persona to get on stage
Did
and be
did
this
you
other
research
person.
what was her real name?
Woo! I knew it too, and now you ask me that without
Because I
me
so
without.
and the only reason I asked because when you said that's what Paul Rubens did with Pee Wee Herman, and I'm like that's so true because that persona Pee Wee Herman he would put on that character be hysterical, but we also got to know Paul Rubens, and I just think it's a shame that we didn't really get to know Mom's
Yeah,
Mabley.
Mom's
Like we know
Mabley's real
Mom's
name was
Mabley, but we didn't
yes.
know.
Mom's Mabley's real name was Loretta Mary Atkins, and
Oh,
she was born in March 19th of 1894, and she passed away on the 23rd.
1894.
Yes, and she passed away in 1975. Her
Wow.
real name was Loretta Mary Atkins.
Okay.
She was so. This is what I'm saying. This woman started in vaudeville
Yeah.
and worked her way to television, radio, television, and movies and everything else. And I consider her like one of the pioneers of stand up comedy.
Oh,
Well,
definitely.
I mean, there were a lot of women. There was another woman that my buddy Bill, who owns Frankenstein Comics in Woodbury Heights, New Jersey. I'm giving a little shameless plug to Bill here, but and that's the only comic store that I would go to. Uh, but he gave me a couple of other artists from back in the day that I should use, and I never had a chance. I talked to him Friday. I never had a chance to look it up between now and then, so I didn't put it in there. And but the thing of it is that she was on the Ed Sheldon show, she was on a Smothers Brothers show, and she would dress in this costume to be Mom's Mabley and do her comedy, which was very hilarious, very hilarious. And that is our list of female comedians. Now, next Sunday rather, It's still March. It's the last day of March.
It's the last
I
day of March.
figured, yes, I figured since it's technically, I was thinking about doing because September, April is poetry month. And at some point, we're going to do a poetry show. We'll have some poets come on. But I think for the last, um, and look, we just got into the 21st century. But I think for the last day of March, we need to do 20th century icons, female icons. So we're going to talk about Madonna. We're going to talk about Marilyn Monroe. We're going to talk about Josephine Baker. We're going to talk about female icons next week.
Okay. All right. I mean, hey, you're making the list, but I don't know what you're banging on because it's banging in my ear. You're like,
Oh, sorry. I'm banging on my table. I
okay.
won't bang on my table. I'm banging on my. I have a superhero table that everything is set up on. It's my superhero table, and next week when we do our podcast, I think you will be here with me, won't you?
I will be there. I'll be there. Like Michael was.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Oh gosh.
Don't do that. Okay.
No, don't do that. That'll get us a copyright strike and everything else. Anyway, so next Sunday we will be live. Instead of coming from the north and the south, we'll both be in South Jersey having a good time as I visit for spring break and Easter will be spent. I guess yeah, we'll still hang out. We'll do Sunday or Saturday. I don't know. We'll decide.
We'll do Sunday. We'll do Sunday.
Huh?
I got plans for us on Saturday.
Okay. Well, don't make plans for me because I do have a few things that I'm planning to do when I'm there and some
You get to
folks
do
that
'em.
I'm
You get
meeting
to do
up
'em.
with. So,
We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
all right. Okay. Because it's also the only time I get a break before I start my new job.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I do
off
need to
the whole
relax.
week.
I don't need to be
I'm off
stressed.
the whole week. I'm off when you're here. I'm off too.
Okay. Oh,
So you know
okay.
we can
But that
hang.
doesn't mean I need to be
Until,
running everywhere every 5 minutes because I know
no, I'm not
I,
running in. No,
okay,
it's
because I
one day I
know
want to go
I
somewhere.
already have to take Mommy, George, and Jesse to Costco because George needs
Yeah,
to
I
go
know, and
get
I
a
want
hot
no.
dog.
No, I want no parts of that.
So I already know I got to go on this shopping trip.
I want no parts of that. I don't want to go shopping with you guys. I want no parts of that trip. I offered to stay home and watch the kids.
Okay.
I
I
bought some Legos
also.
today for when the kids come over. I'll stay home and watch the kids. You guys go shopping.
So,
I want no
okay,
part.
so we might have to go pick you up too because we're going on this Costco run. Plus, I want to get a chance to see a studio from one of my
Yeah,
ECAM fam, and I'd love to meet up with India and um, yeah, Keith Pelzer, and just see
let me
some
know
other
where you go
people.
because I would love to see that also.
Cause yeah, I think it would be pretty cool to see like the whole studio setup. So hopefully I'll get to do that because I'm going to be in that Philly area. So I do want to hit Philly and see a few things and have some fun and just relax. Plus I got to get my run in because I have to run at least 3 times a week as I'm getting ready to do my half marathon for my 60th birthday because that's what I'm going to do. I'm doing it in Philly. So if you want to come run with me, I think hey, it's still open. You can come run. But we're doing all kinds of
I'm going to be
crazy fun
handing out
things.
water. I'm not running.
All right. Well, and hey, that's okay. I'm doing a couch to half marathon program. So this week has all been walking and running, walking and running. Next week it's still walking and running, walking and running. The following week it's all running. So by the time I'm in South Jersey, hopefully it'll be warm enough that I can run outside because I won't have my treadmill like I have here at the house. But in any way, we're over the hour. We need to get out of here. I need to get to bed. I
Yes.
gotta work in the morning. You gotta work in the morning,
But
don't you? You
I
gotta
need to
actually
work in the morning
physically go
too.
to work in the morning, don't you?
I have to physically go to work in the morning too.
Oh,
Monday's my day in the office. I have to physically go to work in the morning.
ah, it's one of those things. Well, listen, we so appreciate you guys hanging out with us on a Sunday evening. Kathy and Kenny explain pop culture. Join our YouTube, visit our website. We are so glad that you're here with us We will see you next week, and we just wish you love, peace, and pop culture.
God bless your soul and keep living. Peace.
Uh, oh, wait, that was the wrong. Oh my goodness, my one transition is gone. It used to be the closing. We don't have a closing anymore.
Don't.
Don't.
I'm so glad we had this time
Sorry.
together.
The closing is gone. What happened to my closing?
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.